white, black, Hispanic. Michael would soon learn that in California's prisons, blacks are at a distinct disadvantage. In LA County jails and state prisons, Latino inmates outnumber blacks by about 2 to 1, and inevitably the tensions erupt in violence.
Welcome to another episode, everyone. Subscribe to the channel if you have not done so. We're talking about the county jail and riots that have transpired between the black and the brown. This popped up on my feed. I'm reacting to it, and they're about to go speak about this, the numbers in the county jail and Wayside, and how these attacks have been taking place and why they were taking place, etc.
The result of things that are going on in the street. You know, you have gang warfare going on in the street. They get arrested, they come to jail, and the gang warfare carries over into the jail system.
The Latino inmates have been asked and directed by the Mexican Mafia to attack a black randomly to show superiority not only in the street but in the jail.
You have the Southern Hispanics, which are mainly from Fresno south. You have the Northern Hispanics from Fresno up. You have the blacks, they have the Crips, they have the Bloods, you have white Aryan Brotherhood type gangs, and the inmates fight for control of what they have in here.
Brown.
Michael says the Hispanics have the upper hand, and not just because of their numbers.
We're way more unorganized than they are, clearly. You know, they're the mafia, and they got one head, one unit, whereas the blacks as a whole, we're all over the place, LA, IE, this kind of Crip, that kind of Crip, that kind of blood, you know, and we got that attitude where nobody can tell us what to do, so we're not really...
So you guys aren't unified?
We're not at all. It's amazing the structure that they have. Blacks believe that Hispanics like love that world, like the whole prison world, because like, you know, they're just like way more force in there.
The people in our jail come from your community.
After racial violence broke out in LA County jails, a group of clergy and community leaders visited the facility in Castaic, north of Los Angeles.
Good morning. We are back. And I brought some guests, some good friends to see you.
Naji Ali, the director of Project Islamic Hope, urged blacks to help each other by uniting.
Y'all have to stick together and be united no matter what.
Excuse me, brother.
Yes, sir.
We trying to stay united as well as possible and set a self-discipline for all the brothers that's around here.
Yes, sir.
But we're always outnumbered. There's never even, I know the population of Hispanics are higher.
Yes, sir.
But, so I mean, come on, man, not 5 to 1.
Right. Now, I get upset when I hear the media say there's fighting in the county jails. It's not a fight, it's an assault on these inmates.
Michael recalls from his time in prison how quickly things can get out of control.
I remember this one youngster right before I left, he got into a fight with a Hispanic.
Black and Hispanic?
Yeah, a black dude got there trying to impress his big homeboys and assaulted a Hispanic coming back from chow. Now, he just got there. I guess he didn't know, no idea about the number of the game or whatever. And as soon as he did that, it was a mess because a lot of blacks was in their cells watching the Laker game. And we heard the alarm go off. People go look at the door and see what's up. And all of a sudden, you just see a lot of Hispanics running the building, assaulting like the only few little stragglers, like 10 blacks in the building. It's like 40 Hispanics. I'm like 10 on each inmate just assaulting them, you know what I'm saying? But that one person who did that silliness outside, they be like, all right, get him.
It's my belief that maybe as much as 95% of the inmates in this county jail system just want to do their time and go on to wherever they're going, whether that's back to the streets or whether the state prisons. But you have groups or you have people that rise up and become ringleaders, as we call them, shot callers. In charge, you have orchestrated and organized gangs within the system who become very organized, and they devise plans to assault a member of the other race, and that's really precisely what happened here.
If the offender is a Latino, you're required to back up that Latino if you're a Latino. And until the Latinos decide to stop attacking the blacks, we're almost powerless to stop this from happening.
It's really just one side. The blacks really don't want no problem with that stuff.
And what about the smallest racial group, whites? Officials say whites tend to ally with Latinos, only because Latino numbers are greater. Add to this explosive mix, prison guards. Michael says...
Now, I'm not sure when this was filmed. It's my suspicion that this was some time ago, and because it's reminiscent of when all of the riots were happening there in Wayside, when they're right there in those dorms, in a particular part of Wayside in the LA County Jail. And that's all the riots began happening, as I've already detailed here on this channel, at the end of 1993 and early 1994. I don't know if this video is that old, but the riots were intense and back and forth for some time during those years. Of course, they still transpire now. And so I got a feeling that this happened where they're saying that, they were sorely outnumbered and they were just getting attacked. This is what I was saying before when I was detailing these riots, and I was saying, that the Southsiders had started attacking blacks because they got word from the hierarchy to do so. And someone else made a video, who shall remain nameless, responded, "We'll just attack people for nothing. Something happened." No, but that's neither here nor there at this point. I'm just saying, I'm just thinking that this certainly is not a newer video footage. This was taken some time ago. Things have changed some since then.
Although many just do their jobs, there are some correctional officers or COs with biases of their own.
Blacks got COs, that's probably with some Crips or whatever, the Hispanics, and the whites, the whites got some racist ties and be kicking it with like all racist inmates. They can cause, a lot of chaos too, so it's the COs can play a big part, major part in that,
Michael managed to survive.
And at the end of the day, man, I hate to say this, and I had to say it now and say it here and say it publicly, and other people I'm sure are watching, but at the end of the day, he said it all, brothers, and that is true. I mean, we just don't have the correct structure and unity in there, as we don't out here on the street, of course, with so many different factions, man, so many different gangs, so many different beefs. And the complex that no one is your leader and no one can tell you anything because you think that makes you less than a man. So everyone wants to run around and do their own thing. And that's why there's no unity. That's why there's no uniform. That's why there's no structure. And you can see here, you would think, looking at this, that the blacks were nothing but victims. And that's what I said when I was detailing some of these riots. And I said that it started kicking off in the dorm, and I started kicking it off myself. I went in there and I got the brothers together and we started kicking it off. We wasn't going to wait around for them to kick it off anymore because this is what was happening. And the blacks were outnumbered, but it's not just the outnumbered part, bro. No, there was no structure, no unity. And when you're dealing with a group that does have structure and unity, well, you're at an automatic disadvantage. Automatic. And, the sooner that we learn how to stick together and love one another in the correct way, the sooner we can stop being fucking victims all the time. Period, man.
12 years behind bars, and it was in his last year in the lockup that his life changed. That's when he met this man, Renford Reese, a professor of political science at Cal Poly Pomona. Reese had written several books, including one about young African-American men.
And this book looked at how young black men had embraced one monolithic model of black masculinity, and that's the gangster thug model.
What's up, man?
What's up, man? How you feeling?
All right.
Someone gave Michael a copy of one of Renford's books. It made a huge impact on him.
I wrote him a letter telling him that I felt where he was coming from, even though I came from a different walk of life, and he grew up with his mother and father and went to all these colleges and well educated. I didn't have no beef with that. I feel we all in this together for the bigger picture.
I was struck, one, by how eloquent the letter was, and two, by how candid he was, So I decided to go visit him. Were you actually in the cell or you were out?
When I wrote that, I mean, I wrote some of them pieces at the when I was a clerk.
And he had so much talent and he had so much potential. So I told him when he paroled in March of 2005, I said, I will mentor you, I will guide you, I will make sure you don't go back and get caught up in the system.
In fact, one of Michael's letters describing different kinds of prison guards is now part of Renford's latest book. The book is called Prison Race.
What are we talking about when we say prison race? You know, young black men are 6 times more likely to go to prison for some crime than someone who is white for the same crime.
Renford is not surprised by the racial violence in our prisons. He says the system is bursting at the seams, that politics and special interests like prison guard unions have blocked reforms, and that education and rehabilitation programs have been taken away.
And in some cases, you even take away recreational opportunities from inmates. What do they have to embrace? They have nothing to embrace but bravado. And you see the consequences of this hyper-machismo manifested in the prison riots.
So how do we curb racial violence in our prisons and jails? Sheriff Lee Baca says the answer is not more prison guards.
The whole dorm on the black side is going to line up behind the black guy, and the entire dorm of Latinos are going to line up on the Latino side. Twice as many deputies are going to stop that fight.
But separating the races might. And for the time being, he has put African American and Latino prisoners in separate areas. But complete segregation isn't practical.
You can't run a jail like that. It's far too difficult to keep the different races segregated because, as you can see, this place is like a big city. There's a lot of movement in here, inmate movement. We transport hundreds of inmates to court every day, back and forth. We have a clinic where they get medical services. There's a lot. They go to different programs. So
you're
to keep them separate, well, it's not only a pain in the neck. I think ultimately different races are going to have to learn to coexist.
Hey, I need
As for Michael Fisher, he's completed his sentence a year ago. He now works for a moving company, talks to students about his experiences, and writes rap music.
Because like I said before, going back to prison just isn't cracking. I'm far from that brother that's lazy and slack and lacking ambition and drive. I see it as an easy mission making this transition from the pen to outside.
With Renford's help, Michael hopes never to see the inside of a prison cell again.
I've been out a year. Been working ever since then. You gotta want to help yourself. Then when that happens, doors open up. As if in this free world, it's just too hard to cope, because white folks keep telling me no. True, they ain't the only folks who ain't trying to see me stay afloat. Still, I won't drown. We'll run while I move. This could be you.
All right, brother. All right. Tupac. All right, there you have it, man. You know, that's what they're going through there in prison. Or the county jail, that's what they were going through at one particular time. That's what we were going through. And I'm not going to get any deeper into that because I just wanted to play the interview and give y'all some real life insight on what the wayside looks like and what was happening in there and still is. And this video was from back in the days because he paroled in 2005 apparently. So there was maybe a couple years before that or something that they was taking that video. It's a couple decades old, but you know, perhaps one day the riots and all of that shit can stop in prison and in jail and in the LA County jail because people just get hurt and nothing really gets accomplished. Everyone still feels how they feel. So at some point, perhaps, hopefully soon, we can stop brutalizing one another behind those walls. And whether there's unification or not, whether we unite or not, that's one thing. But we can still stop brutalizing one another. Unification or not. Stay safe and stay free, people.